likes God.
Alrighty, so we got a Bronco up on a hoist with an LS in it. We're not quite sure how the trans is gonna hook up because the shifting's all f***ed up. We have an engine harness in, and we can't figure out how to disable the neutral switch.
I have no fuel pump.
Doesn't work?
No.
Sure, the fuel pump is just the fuel pump, but if we can't get that done, what's the point in bringing the Bronco down? It's literally, we're bringing a non-running Bronco. It's gonna cost us like $1,000 in gas to bring there and back. The wheel that I'm running doesn't really sleep well anyway, so might as well just go to the next show in March and debut it there.
Fuel pump's easy enough though.
What is it? Why can't we figure it out?
Because we're trying to use the factory Ford system.
Oh.
If we just wanted to make it f***ing easy, that trigger wire right there would run a wire, would tap into the fuel pump harness to trigger the positive wire back there. The ground would go to ground. The fuel pump is 2 wires.
Then why didn't we do that?
A signal wire and a ground wire. We didn't know if it would work with the ignition, I think is the problem. This is all Brad stuff. We know the problem is right here because this wire doesn't have power, and it's saying that that circuit is power to fuel pump. One of these 4 has to be a ground. Is it saying that 86 is a ground or 85 is a ground?
Fucking question.
85 is ground, that would be the one that Brad tapped into. If 30 is the signal wire, it doesn't make any sense because 30 is constant power. So if I take the wire that Brad had it off, hook it back up as a ground,
Right.
in theory the fuel pump should work.
So the reason that it's reading power right now is because Brad gave it power.
Correct.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Brad.
So this is what happens when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, as they would say. Initial issue was the fuel pump. It was wired into the wrong spot on the relay, and because of that, the fuel pump wasn't turning on. We basically bypassed that temporarily just to get it to turn on, and it does turn on now. The fuel was getting all the way up to the fuel filter, which I have a Corvette style fuel filter because I have a return-less system with my new fuel rails. The fuel rail doesn't have a return system. But with that being said, the gas was making it all the way up to the fuel filter, but not into it or past it. And that was it. So there was no gas coming out of the engine or going into the engine, nothing like that. Pulled it apart, found a diagram, coming to find out that Brent put them on backwards. So the return was going to the feed and the feed was going to the return. So nothing was going anywhere and it was just building up pressure. So Banker flipped him around, and I think we're finally gonna hear this start for the first time, unless we find something else that someone else f***ed up. Who knows?
Did we win?
Crank it a little bit.
Let's go!
It's 10 o'clock at night on Saturday and the engine started.
I'm gonna say I'm very surprised.
Well, I went to like turn it off and it just went then. Like, I don't know. Let's go! I'm not paying Brad. I told Brad that if he didn't work on Friday, I would pay him our hourly shop rate to work on my Bronco instead, which is more than he makes per hour. However, in that time, he managed to f everything up. So I am not paying him a single dime until he fixes this, and then I'll pay him. All right, so it's Sunday at like noon. We have gotten the Bronco moved back a little bit right now because I'm gonna throw the adapters and wheels on. Then I'm gonna do headlights, tails, and grill. So it's kind of all the cosmetic stuff. Trying to convince Brad to come today and fix all of his fuck ups with the fuel pump, and then also help with the gas pedal because that sounds like it's gonna be kind of a bitch, and bring his trailer because we're using his trailer to get this thing down there. So it's kind of crunch time. Today's kind of cosmetics. Tomorrow is finishing up all of the working stuff. Here's all the leakage that we had from last night. It's all good leakage because we know where it all came from. This is where I dump coolant everywhere in accident. That is my power steering pump that doesn't have any hoses hooked up, so it's just spewing out. And that's my steam port block off, whatever, just spewing because there's no thing for the stuff with the thing. So let's slap some wheels on this thing. Oh, and Lawson's behind the camera filming for the first time in about a week and a half. So glad to have you back, buddy. R2614s on with 35 13.5 R26 amps. Got my adapters on as well, 2-inch in the front, 3-inch in the rear. Everybody's been asking about that. So yeah, they're staggered because even though the like track width doesn't really change when you go with the lift kit and everything like that, the rear is just shorter than the front. So now I gotta put the grill on. Banker gave me a quick rundown. It's really complex. There are 4 bolts on the top, 1 here, and then 2 clips. And that's the grill. So that's gonna be pretty easy. And then headlights, tails, and I'm done for today. Get that thing out of my face.
Are you gonna make it?
No! Quitting and going home. Done building trucks. Get my headlights done now. Got my air intake all in, so that's all good, done, good to go. I still need to fix my fuel pump issue. Still have a drive shaft that needs to be made. Still have a gas pedal that needs to go on. It's like 11 o'clock in the morning, and I just want this to be done.
What's going on?
We don't know. More wiring issues. So 3 out of the 8 cylinders are dead right now. It looks like some of the plugs might not be plugged in all the way. Which one was it, Brad?
Cylinder 3. So the second one?
Second
This
one.
one's fine.
I'm running on 6 cylinders right now. 2 of my injectors are having issues. We don't know why.
Let's go, baby. Come on, you can do it.
All right, so Brad looked into it, and I don't really know what happened, but there was just a bad ground. My dumb had to ground it to a header bolt inside of the back of the head, so we refixed that, and now it's running on 8, but it's running like because Brad thinks the tune is bad, so there's that. Now we need to fill the trans because we were running it with no trans fluid. Fuel pump issue was a bad ground. We need a constant ground, not whatever ground is in the relay. It runs like, but it sounds kind of cool and it gets loud, and it'll be ready for LST, I think, so there's that. Trans pan's done. Differential drive shaft seal's done. I don't even know what it's doing anymore. Horn works. There's fluids in. Let's go! Well, she runs and drives. Let's go. To LST, baby, let's go! So now we're gonna put the hood on, get on the trailer, and then clean it off real quick, and then run away to Texas in 12 hours. So barely wrapped it up. Maybe still some issues, who the f knows, but 12 hours out and she runs and drives. All right, so last night was SMG's pre-party for Lone Star Throwdown. We got the Bronco off the trailer, and even though it was only like 3 buildings away, I got to drive it up the street a little bit and into the show, which was kind of nice to actually finally do. So got that all done, and I drove it out of the show too. Turned a bunch of heads. Everyone loved the license plate. So now we're all loaded up. We are heading to Lone Star Throwdown. We're gonna drop the Bronco off and just leave it there for the weekend, because there's no way in hell I'm driving this thing 30 minutes back and forth every single day. So let's go load out.
I'm so in love with you. You got me down again.
All right, guys, so that pretty much sums it up. That was the whole like build experience in a nutshell. So it's kind of crazy to look back now in April from May of 2020 when I picked this thing up all the way till now, like literally almost a whole year later, and where it's at and everything like that. LST was an awesome experience. It was super cool to go to Texas for the first time. It was also my birthday weekend, so it was super gratifying to have this truck done and drivable to also bring there and have at the first show of the year, debuting a new Archon wheel. It couldn't have gone any better considering the circumstances. I put on, I think it was 2.3 miles while we were in Texas, so obviously I wanted to keep it kind of off the roads because I didn't know how I was going to drive, didn't know anything about it, didn't know how the drive shaft was going to be. Everything was kind of done obviously very last minute, as you guys saw, so knowing that I could put some miles on it and drive it into the shows and out of the shows was very cool to me. After the fact, obviously now I've got some stuff I got to take care of, some things to button up. There were a couple of leaks we noticed while we were at LST, including like my gas filler neck that leaked because I had a full tank. On the trailer even it would leak out. So like things like that I've already started fixing and buttoning up and kind of getting all the leaks and little things figured out. Power steering is the next big one. Power steering has been a pain in my ass not having, so that is definitely something that I am going to get done like ASAP Rocky now that it's all back and everything's good to go. Awesome experience, very stressful. Roller coaster ride was up, down, sideways, everything in between, from picking up the engine to getting the transmission to not knowing if the transmission was even going to work or the engine was going to work or how it was going to sound with the cam or how it was going to run with the cam or if it was going to run in general at all. Huge, all over the place event, and I've taken this thing, I mean, it started in California, came to Wisconsin, barely made it back to Wisconsin, spent months from probably October when I picked up the Escalade until February getting it done, to then take it back across the country to Texas, take it back home, and I'm just excited to enjoy this thing, button up a couple things on it and just drive it. Future plans, I'm gonna kind of not really say, because maybe we'll do a little bit more media coverage on them. Otherwise, you can obviously check it out on my Instagram, archon.oj. Got to give that little bit plug there. But we can kind of walk around and kind of show you where it's at now that it's all done. All right, so clear tails are on. I don't have red brake lights because I had white ones because I had red OEM taillights before. So that's something I have to do. I'm probably gonna do a whole LED conversion to get all of this LED and then also have red brake lights because, you know, that's probably what I should be doing. This will be coming off eventually. Everyone keeps asking if I'm doing a full-size spare or if I'm gonna keep this on or take it off or in between. This is gonna come off. I don't wanna put a full-size spare in here. It's probably gonna rip the side of the body off at some point maybe. I don't wanna risk it, and I don't know. It's not a Jeep. So that'll be coming off, stop asking. Obviously we got the 2614 Archon Da Vinci's in chrome. These are 6-lug. Future plans, it sounds like there might have accidentally been a 5-lug set on the way, so I think what I'll be doing is going back to 5-lug with spacers, and Taylor might be buying these from me for her truck. But we'll see. Got the 35 13.5 R26 amp MTs on here too. I've had no issues with these. Had them on my last Archon Lincoln setup on my other Bronco. Have them on here. I love them. They come in a lot of the good enthusiast sizes. They're good quality. They look good. The noise isn't really that bad. I have been driving this a lot more now that I'm back home and everything. You can go in short little spurts versus driving to Texas type of thing. And I've had zero issues with them. Love them. definitely gonna need tint. It has the tint from like 1993 or something like that on it still. The back glass is peeling, the fronts aren't dark enough. I'm probably gonna go like 2% all around or maybe 5% all around with 20 on the windshield, murder this thing out. Needs some paint correction, probably gonna pull the trim off, kind of clean up the body a little bit. I got fog lights now too. So on my last setup, I had this bumper. It had fog lights, but they weren't necessarily wired in. Now they're wired in, they're on a switch, so that's gonna be nice to have. Eventually gonna do a headlight build as well, so that should all kind of tie in. And might be working with Morimoto on some stuff too. I know they have some Illuma bumper fog light, LED fog lights that they have, so probably gonna do that. But yeah, also working on a custom center console. I said I wasn't gonna talk about anything I'm gonna be doing, but here we are. Gonna be needing a custom center console too. We got my PCM and a lot of the components inside the truck, just because it's kind of the safest spot for them. So I'm gonna build a center console, build all of that into the center console, and then probably also have a subwoofer built into that as well. Just because the center console that's in there is like a giant Tupperware bowl and super ugly. So that's where we're at so far, and might throw some wet sounds in there as well, but I guess we'll kind of keep it at that. Obviously, custom offsets, wheels, tires, suspension, all that fun stuff. Thank you guys for tuning into this full build series. If you're for some reason watching episode 5 right now, there's an episode 1, 2, 3, and 4 where you can see everything from me buying this truck to all of the heartbreak in between to where it is now. And yeah, so make sure to subscribe, youtube.com, Custom Offsets TV. Peace.